When Ethan left me alone at the wedding, I knew he had been reborn too. He said, "I can't deceive myself any longer. This time, I don't want to miss out on her again." In my previous life, my sister showed up at my wedding in a bridal gown to steal Ethan, but he refused her. Heartbroken, my sister went abroad to become a war correspondent and later died on the job. On the same day, Ethan took his life for her, driving his car into a river. The dash cam recorded his final moments, and only then did I realize the repressed yet obsessive love he had for my sister over the years. After being reborn, I watched Ethan and my sister walk away together, and I couldn't help but let out a cold laugh. Ethan doesn't know. My sister has always enjoyed taking what's mine. The more I want it, the more she desires it. But if I don't care for something, it loses its appeal to her. During our wedding ceremony, the officiant asked Ethan at this moment, "What is the one thing you'd like to say to the bride?" Ethan took the microphone, his voice shaking with emotion as he loudly declared, "Isabella, I love you." The audience gasped, for I was not Isabella. Isabella was my sister. At that very moment, she was carefully walking into the ceremony in a wedding gown, ready to take Ethan away. In my previous life, Ethan had rejected her, saying he only loved me. Isabella, devastated by the rejection, went abroad, became a war correspondent, and ultimately died in the field. Upon hearing the news, Ethan took his own life the same day, driving into the river. The dashcam captured his last words. "I'm so full of regret. Why did I marry Sophia just out of duty? Why didn't I leave with Isabella when I had the chance? Why did I let her go abroad? Now that she's dead, what reason do I have to live? I'm sorry, Isabella. I'm coming to be with you. We will never be apart again." Ethan's voice was filled with despair, regret, and agony. Every word felt like a knife plunging into my heart, over and over again. The most tragic part? At that time, I was already 8 months pregnant. A week after Ethan's death, a seemingly resurrected Isabella brazenly appeared before me. I didn't actually die. I just told Ethan a little lie. I didn't expect him to take it so seriously. Turns out, he really loved me. She stood before me with the posture of a victor, mocking me. She had always enjoyed taking things from me. She was my father's illegitimate daughter, and when her mother abandoned her at the age of 10, my father had no choice but to bring her into the Shin family. After moving in, she put on an innocent act for everyone, but behind the scenes, she couldn't bear to see me have anything better than her. Whether it was our grandparents' affection, our father's love, or even my mother's attention, she wanted it all. It didn't stop there. Clothes, dresses, jewelry, makeup, anything I liked, she had to have too. I always had a feeling she'd try to steal my boyfriend, but I never expected her to succeed. "Ethan, is it true?" Isabella asked, eyes filled with joyful disbelief as tears of happiness welled up. "I need to be brave for us this time," Ethan said resolutely. He stepped down from the altar, leaving me alone on the stage. He gently wiped away Isabella's tears. Turns out, Ethan could be gentle with someone else too. I met Ethan during our first year of college. He came from a poor background. His parents had passed away, and he was raised by his elderly grandmother, who collected recyclables to support his education. I helped him out of kindness, even staying with him during his grandmother's illness, taking her to the hospital and paying for the medical bills. In my previous life, Ethan pursued me actively. He told me I made him feel the warmth and light of the world again. He confessed that while he knew he wasn't in a position to chase me, he feared that one day I would belong to someone else, so he didn't want to risk it. He made a vow, promising to work hard so that I could live a better life. He even swore that if he ever betrayed me, he would cut off his own legs. With my support, Ethan rose to success, and soon after graduating, he became a rising star in his field. He fulfilled his promise, marrying me at the peak of his career. But after the wedding, I could no longer feel the passion he once had for me. Now, looking at Ethan's burning gaze fixed on Isabella, I could see the joy of reuniting with a long-lost love. "What about my sister?" Isabella asked with a feigned dilemma, casting a glance at me. No one noticed the slight hint of triumph in her eyes. I'll never forget the words she whispered to me before she pushed me down the stairs to my death. All I did was pretend to fall in front of Ethan, and then I accidentally let him see the bruises I made myself. He felt so sorry for me. He thought I was being abused at the Shin house. You think he kept his distance from me all these years because he hated me? No, it's because he was afraid he couldn't control his desire to possess me. You have no idea how hard it was for him to resist. I honestly didn't expect him to marry you, in the end out of duty. But if I can't have him, then let him die. Neither of us will have him. Now that you know the truth, big sister, why don't you go and die too? After all, only one of us can be the true Chin family heiress. I fell from the tall staircase, resulting in both the death of myself and my unborn child. When I opened my eyes again, I had been reborn, returning to the day of my wedding. Ethan had also been reborn. Ethan turned to look at me, and in his eyes, there was no trace of hesitation or conflict. I can't keep deceiving myself. This time, I don't want to miss out on her again. Without giving me a chance to speak, he grabbed Isabella's hand and left without looking back. Watching Ethan rush off for love, a cold smile crept across my lips. He didn't know, Isabella had always enjoyed taking what was mine. The more I liked something, the more she wanted it. And if I didn't want it, she lost interest too. That grand wedding, of course, ended in nothingness. The fact that Ethan abandoned me at the altar became a joke that everyone laughed at. The one being mocked was me. No one blamed Isabella, the homewrecker. I knew it was because Ethan had pulled some strings in the social circles. He was now a rising star in his industry, and no one dared to offend him. I didn't bother to clear my name either. After all, Ethan's reckoning was yet to come. I was more focused on rebuilding my career. After getting together with Ethan, my entire focus had been on him. I managed his company, dealt with his social engagements, and after his career stabilized, I willingly retreated to take care of the household. I thought he was worth it. Turns out I was utterly blind. A month after Ethan and Isabella disappeared, they returned to the Shin family. She knelt on the ground, crying her heart out, as if she were the victim after stealing someone else's husband. When I got home, I saw my parents with helpless expressions on their faces. Despite everything, they couldn't ignore the outrageous scene Isabella had caused at my wedding. They were, of course, furious. However, her tearful apology seemed to have slightly softened their anger. The moment Isabella saw me, she broke down even more, crawling toward me on her knees. Big sister, you can punish me however you want, but please don't blame Ethan. It's all my fault. Anything? I asked, confirming. Anything, Isabella said firmly. In my previous life, I had been lenient with Isabella, not just because she always put on a facade, but I even believed that her desire for everything I liked came from her own lack of confidence, wanting to imitate me in every way. Of course, the most important reason was that I never deemed her worthy of my concern. The confidence my family gave me since childhood made me never think Isabella could surpass me. I underestimated her. So, at that moment, I bent down and slapped Isabella hard across the face. The loud smack left Isabella completely stunned. Before she could react, Ethan forcefully shoved me away, nearly making me fall. He held Isabella protectively in his arms. Sophia, whatever issues we have are between us, not Isabella. If you're angry, take it out on me.
Fine.
I didn't hesitate and slapped Ethan hard across the face as well. When dealing with scum like them, I wasn't going to be soft. Ethan, clearly enraged, didn't expect me, always gentle and soft-spoken, to be this rough. My parents were just as shocked. For the past month, after being abandoned at the altar, I hadn't shown any signs of emotional breakdown. Instead, I'd been actively working on improving myself. They knew I never held grudges against my sister, so they assumed I was turning my pain into motivation and that I'd moved on. Moved on? Not a chance. There's justice in the world.